All right. I think we're going to sort out some technical issues with Mary, but let me just do a quick introduction on what are we having today. My name is Bobby. I'm the co-founder and COO at CoinGecko. Today we are hosting a Twitter space. CoinGecko is hosting a Twitter spaces where we will be talking about building utility in Web3 gaming economies. And we are doing this together in collaboration with the Philippines Web3 Festival. There will be a week-long conference, celebration of blockchain gaming, NFTs, esports, DeFi, and so on. Basically, in Manila next week on the 14th to the 18th of November. I will be there speaking at the summit. And I'm really excited to head to Manila and to talk to all the GameFi companies there. In conjunction with this Web3 festival, we are hosting a Twitter space to kind of drive interest in this summit next week. And today we have three really awesome speakers. I'll do an introduction to the three of them shortly. Yeah, this Philippines Web3 Festival is we have 10 tickets that we are giving out for this festival. If you're interested, head over to CoinGecko's Twitter, scroll down a little bit. You just have to follow CoinGecko and the PH Web3 Festival and retweet the post and tag your friends. And I think we are announcing the winner in about an hour's time. So yeah, you still have some time to kind of participate if you're interested. So thank you very much to every one of you who are who's in this Twitter Spaces. I think as we go along, we have more people coming in, and as I said, we plan to have three speakers coming up on stage today. We have Brian Akaka, the Chief Marketing Officer of Crypto Unicorns. And then we also have Corey Wilton, the co-founder of Mirai Labs, which is the Web3 game company behind Pegasus, a horse racing play-to-earn game. And also we plan to have Marima, the co-founder of Mix Marvel, a blockchain content incubation studio that has kind of released 10 P2E games. We are having some issues trying to invite Mary on stage, so not so sure what's happening, but my team's kind of trying to figure this out. Okay, I see Mary joining in as listener, so I think we can invite her in as a speaker shortly. But I guess without wasting much time, we can probably start with Corey to kind of do introduction of yourself. What do you do at Pegasus, and tell us a little bit about Pegasus the game. Corey, take it on.
For sure. Appreciate the intro. Yeah, so myself, one of the co-founders over at Mirai Labs, and most of us, of course, know us from Pegasus. We launched that one. Actually, our 1-year anniversary of launch is in 7 days, the 15th of November. So not too far away at all. Pretty exciting. Since then, I think we've had over 500,000 registered users, 200 million through the platform, and yeah, still building now. Still got some other games that we're building on the side, but that about sums it up.
Congrats on your 1-year anniversary.
Appreciate
Definitely a long time in crypto. Brian, should we go with you next? Tell us a little bit more about what you do at Laguna Games and about these crypto unicorns.
Absolutely. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Laguna Games, and Crypto Unicorns is our first Web3 game. We launched Crypto Unicorns in May, so we've been live for about 6 months now, and our game is a pet collecting and breeding game as well as a farming simulation with a bunch of different game loops to be coming very shortly.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. And Mary, I believe you are joining now as a speaker. So I was doing a quick introduction. You're a co-founder of Mix Marvel. Let's tell us a little bit about what you do at Mix Marvel and what sort of games that you guys have launched so far. Mary, can you hear me? Can you speak? Say something maybe? Yeah, it's probably there's still some technical issues on her end. That's fine. Curry, Brian, I guess we the three of us talking for today until Mary manages to sort out her technical issues. In which case, Mary, please voice up and say something when you can speak up. But yeah, the topic of this Twitter space today. Oh, Mary, you're in now. Okay, so
Okay.
yeah.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I think my network is a little bit legacy. Yeah, so a quick introduction of me and my team. So Mix Marvel, our core team from game industry. So my business partner, Jade, she is also the founder. She was from Ubisoft and has 16 years experience in the gaming industry and participated in the games like Assassin's Creed and Prince of Persia, and also other core members from Tencent and T3. So yeah, and also we established our own studio since 2012 and launched our first mobile game, ranked #1 on 61 countries and regions globally, and also won the Korean the Tokyo Game Show, and also Cologne Game Show. So we entered into the crypto world since 2017 and started to build our own game, Hyper Dragons, and it was launched around April of 2018 and surpassed CryptoKitties on the same year around August. And also after that, we helped to publish our other crypto games, and now we have we are an incubator with more than 10 published games, and also a layer 1 named Rangers Protocol, and also we have our investing arm this year. So yeah, basically we are aiming at the next generation Web3 games right now. So yeah, thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you for the introduction, Mary. I'm glad that we managed to sort out the technical issues and you can join us here. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, the topic of our Twitter Spaces today is building utility in Web3 gaming economies. This is a very interesting space, GameFi and crypto blockchain adoption. I mean, technology coming together provides a lot of interesting opportunities for games to be designed for this new world. And this is something that we plan to talk about for the next hour and explore some of the innovation, the things that have changed in this space. So I guess for the three of you, curious to hear, when you guys were designing the tokenomics for your games, what were some of the guiding principles that you guys put in such that the tokenomics have maximum utility for all stakeholders, and also it is sustainable? So yeah, I mean, any one of you who want to take it up, how do you kind of maximize utility and have sustainability, the tokenomics for your games?
I guess we can just go in the same order if that's easier.
Yep.
Okay. So from our side, obviously, I don't think we're the best example for sustainability for sure. We were pretty early, but we did a lot of experiments, and where we came from was more so deriving value towards what we initially said we would. So for example, the utility token, we use that in almost every scenario possible within the game. Just didn't balance it very well. Hindsight is 2020 for sure, but we used it as much as possible within the game, with what we had of the game at the time. And then alternatively on the governance token, quite early on we built a gated, what I would call community sentiment and suggestions platform. It's not so much a DAO, but it basically functions the exact same as what a DAO would do, just without the pure governance that comes along with a DAO. So we wanted to implement the utility quite early, so it's token gated. You can't do a proposal without tokens, you can't comment without tokens, you can't vote without tokens, and just tried to drive real utility towards what we said we would. But again, as I said, we were pretty early, so unfortunately, I wouldn't say the utility token was very sustainable at all.
Should I go?
Yes, please.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess for crypto unicorns, when we were designing our tokenomics, I guess one of the guiding principles for us was that we really wanted to incorporate not just crypto and NFTs, but also some of the ethos of Web3. And so what that means for us is, decentralization, community-owned IP, and also, the ability to incorporate some other kind of crypto features like staking, governance, and interoperability of our NFTs. And another early decision for us that was kind of focused on creating a sustainable economy was to, from day one, try and build a game that has multiple game loops in it. So we didn't launch with multiple game loops, but we are slowly building these and adding to our game over time. And part of the reason that we wanted to have multiple game loops in our game is we wanted to offer kind of multiple paths of gameplay for our players. And so that as people are choosing to play the game in different ways, they can kind of balance each other and create, kind of a more, I guess, longer sustainable ecosystem versus an economy where everybody's playing the game exactly the same way with the same meta. And that, is what we feel can oftentimes lead to some of these kind of peaks and troughs of economics.
Mary, you want to go next? Anything
Of
that you want
course.
to add? Okay, great.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Yeah, actually, I really love this question, and I absolutely agree with Corey and Brian. So, basically, to in our methodology, we think the token economy must be based on the users and gameplay. So, in terms of how to keep it sustainable, I think it really relevant with what kind of users you are attracting and what kind of value you are offered to the user actually. So there is no perfect token economy. Absolutely, is highly related with the gameplays. For example, if you are designing a MOBA, so maybe you do not need a utility token inside of the game, or maybe you can use the token to do the incentive of the community. But if you are designing an MMORPG, for example, so you absolutely need more utility tokens and NFT tokens, or maybe NFTs, or maybe a stable coin to help you to build up this virtual society. So, so first of all, it should be highly related with your gameplay. And the second one is it highly related with the users. So if the users, they have very simple pursuing, so for example, they are just here for the ROI, so you will never be sustainable at all. So absolutely, you need to find your consumers who are really enjoy your service, and also the game is really fun to play. So people are gonna be staying here and be willing to pay for whatever they love. So that's basically the two principles we are designing the games. But in terms of the methodology, I think it's basically some frameworks. It should be surrounded with the currency, with the NFT, and with the users. So yeah, so I really love to talk about the game design, and so today I think it's a very great topic here. Thank you.
Thanks for all the input, the insights that you guys share. Um, I'm curious to hear from all three of you. What do you think is the biggest difference between a Web2 game and a Web3 game? And how has Web3 gaming evolved since it got started? I mean, I'm seeing a lot of people talking. Initially, was play to earn, and then it becomes play and earn. And then kind of what's next? How do we make things sustainable as well? So I there's a lot of questions in this, but kind of like curious to hear from your point of views. I guess Corey, you can go first, and we can follow the same order.
Cool. Yeah, it's a great question. I think it's a tough one. What's the difference between the two? I think that becomes more and more blurred as time goes on. Initially, obviously, ignorance is bliss at the start of it. We thought that we knew, and the more that we build, the more we discover that we know nothing. and obviously many of the early players again were not even gaming native, so they make a lot of mistakes that Web2 has already made, and we repeat cycles that we don't need to repeat. But I think if we have a look at what the difference is, it may just be the type of user, not so much the game itself. It seems that most studios are reverting back to ways that the Web2 industry has already designed their games, probably because it works well and makes money, which makes complete sense. So it seems that the main difference here from our perspective is that it's fundamentally it is the user that is different. Then you've got the dolphins, the whales, and these guys might be whale degens. I don't know what we're going to call them, but they sure seem like a different audience. And from my perspective, I think most studios are just going to take two different routes when launching a game. They'll have a Web3 go to market and a Web2 go to market. What that entails, I'm not too sure. However, I think it'll be a pretty normal strategy going forward. I actually can't remember the rest of the questions, but I'll let the others cover the rest.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with Corey that we are still very early and we're still kind of figuring out what it means to be a Web3 game. And, oftentimes we are just kind of copying or taking from the Web2 world and hoping that it'll translate. And sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. I think, within our Laguna Games team, we've, most of us do come from a traditional Web2 background, primarily mobile gaming. And I think we've all been kind of shocked by how different this world really is. I mean, it's a completely different landscape, just from the economics, right? A Web2 game, oftentimes there's no way to earn from the game. And, as a player, and oftentimes the way that the player spends money in the game is very discrete, right? There's a few different ways for the player to spend money or to generate income for the game developer, whether it's in-app purchases or an upfront download cost, or it's ad supported. Those are kind of the main ways for a game to make money in Web 2. In Web 3, it's a completely different animal. So yeah, I guess I'll end it there as well. But yeah, we've just found that it's been a Web 2 game is very discrete as well. It's kind of its own standalone game, and there's no real interoperability. Whereas a Web 3 kind of expands to the community itself, and so a lot of the interactions and the time that players are being spent with our IPs, not necessarily in the game itself, but it might be in the Discord or Twitter or in discussions with other community members.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you guys, and I think because we are still discussing like what's the difference between Web2 and Web3 games, and also what the Web3 games should be like. That's exactly the magic of this industry, because we have so much potential to explore. So I guess our team, we are just old enough to have observed some of the phenomenon, both in the Web2 and Web3. So actually, the Web3 games at the very beginning, they starts with the crypto kitties, and only the breed very simple gameplays of all these NFTs, and it's obviously an experiment, but it's very successful. And when we are developing Hyper Dragons, we firstly applied the token into the game, and also we bring this up in the DevCon about the tokenomics in the game. And so at that time, actually, we are trying to see what kind of match chemistry we can have if we deploy the token into the game. So at that time, we have the breed gameplay, we have the battlefield, and also the ranking, all these incentive ways to involve the community in this. And we observed that the staying rate, and also the willing to pay for the NFTs, or to the willing to own the asset, increasing dramatically. If it's just a casual game in the Web 2, all the numbers can be so good. So so at that time we observed that these kind of casual games with some token economy, it can increase the life cycle and also the revenue ability for this game. And after that, we try to publish some more games, but during 2019, actually we realized that this kind of game is not really sustainable. So because the users, they are just pursuing for the IOI, and if you just met the bear market, it could be a disaster. So we brought up this concept, which is GameFi. The reason why we talk about this is because we want to define this kind of experiment. It's not really game. It's more like a gamification-ized financial service. So after that, we start to look into what kind of value the blockchain technology can bring to the game. So I think now the whole industry is becoming more and more mature, and more giants, they are entering into the world into this field with higher quality content. Like we are cooperating with some Korean studios and also Chinese studios. They have already been proven to be successful in the Web2 world, especially in the area of MMORPG and also SLG. So we think that the blockchain now can really add value to the game right now. For example, if in the past the MMO data, they are all this Soul Island, and also it's all the private protocols. So the assets cannot be used, like Brian just mentioned. It's not possible for IP to grow here and decentralized way. And also, for example, the assets trading used to be centralized by the platform with thousands of the customer services, and there are so many floods there. So now we can use the NFT to ensure the ownership of the assets. All this, we think in the next generation, if you are really working with the high quality content studios, people will experience something new in the next stage.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. From three of you, the answers that you guys have given, I mean, it seems to me that there's a lot of financialization aspects in Web3 gaming. I mean, from my perspective, and I'm going to ask some hard questions over here. It seems that the big difference between Web2 and Web3 is that the in-game assets are ownable by the players. So instead of them being represented as centralized database entries, and you can't trade them in Web3 games, these are represented as NFTs and also fungible tokens. And but what are my questions to you guys? Do you guys think that Web3 game projects, there's a lot of focus on the earning elements of the game, the financialization elements of the game, such that the kind of players that it attracts? I think Corey, you were saying that the kind of players in Web2, Web3 games are very different. The kind of players that Web3 game companies attract, people who are, let's just say, financially motivated, whereas the kind of players in Web2 games are perhaps more interested to play the game because it's just fun, and they're not really motivated by the financial aspects of it. I'm curious to hear, do you think my take is right? And for Web3 games to be sustainable, Web3 games needs to be more fun and less earn or less financialization aspects into the game, or that's not really the way to go, and the way to go is to kind of like ramp it up and kind of improve the earnings element, and like the fun is just good to have. Curious to hear your thoughts from all three of you.
Yeah, that's a great point. Where we got it wrong at Mirai, coming in so early, was that we thought that gaming had changed, and I believe that's probably not anymore. The way we look at it is probably that gaming in itself would be like an art form that has one way, and over time is obviously refined to make money in some way, but overall there is just fundamentals that you simply cannot shift, and you don't reinvent a wheel that's working perfectly that billions of people love. I think that's more so the reality, and what we're seeing is probably just another route of monetization, another audience, and another way for a different type of person to be exposed to gaming in some form that they're attracted to. Um, Obviously, the Web2 gamers, the way that you monetize in-app purchases, in-app advertising, and stuff like that, I don't think that's going anywhere, because it works amazingly. But just that Web3 go-to-market strategy, I'm not too sure for some companies what it will be. But again, those NFT launches, the token launches, exclusive access, things that probably don't, I would say, adjust or interact with the game design too much is probably what we're going to see. But again, it also comes down to the genre of the game. Casual mid-core games that usually have a lifespan of about 12 months probably don't have super deep Web3 roots, or game design in general. But if you're looking at, hardcore games or something, um, they take many, many years and are obviously very, very deep, and that Web3 side can get a lot deeper as well. So I think it's just important for us to distinguish between what genre the game is, but then also recognize that there's gaming fundamentals. They're always to stick around, and that at the end of the day, studios, or people in our case, are likely going to go the route that makes the most money, and that right now for studios seems to be taking advantage of both routes because of the Web3's, I guess, revenue unsustainability, and it being new, but then Web2 providing a lot more clarity and, I guess, measurability when it comes to making revenue if done right.
Yep, absolutely. I think that a focus on the financial side as well as the fun side is key. For any Web3 game. Certainly, a lot of the players who are playing Web3 games are attracted to the game because of the possibility of earning, and that is a motivation for them to buy the assets and to start playing. So we can't discount that, and we can't say that that's not a valid reason to play. But what we can do is we can try and create a depth of gameplay where we can offer choices to players while they're playing the game. Whereas, if we can create a deep enough gameplay that they are not necessarily wanting to take the money out of the game immediately, but perhaps will be willing to, keep those tokens within the game economy in order to progress a little bit farther in the game. And by creating, hopefully enough entertainment value in the game, there are, some competing motivations for a player between wanting to take money out and earn versus enjoying the game. And hopefully we can hit that right balance, where we can attract a variety of players who are playing the games, perhaps for different reasons, but in aggregate, hopefully it all kind of balances. And that is, the billion-dollar question is can a company or a game economy do that? And we're all still trying to figure that out, I think.
Yes, the balance is absolutely the key. Agree with Brian. So I think in many industries there are different cycles. So actually, for the Web2 games, is not originally item based. Like if you are, I don't know, any of you guys have ever played like the Mirror 2 back to 20 years ago. Actually, it's purchased by time. And there are already people trading and also make money from the game. They play the game or help others to play the game and get the items and sell to the whale players. And also there are several guilds, and especially after the leak of the private service, the leak of the code, there are thousands of private servers. So actually, many people are earning from this business model. But when we turn to the mobile game, because people have less time to sit down to play the game, and also it's more that they are using the fragment time to play. So more casual game and mid-core game occurred at that time, and also the new business model, which is the item-based business model, was more successful than the time-based business model then. So I think in terms of the Web3, actually, I think Brian really hit the point. The balance of the users are really important. Basically, if we issue the token or issue the NFTs, we can let all these mass users to earn some basic materials and send them to the whale users, or upgrade to the rare NFTs and sell to the whale users, which back to the time-based business model. This is first. And after that, actually, we can just let the different users to do what they prefer. So there would be some people, they are skill-based users. They can make money from playing good or help others to play, or be hired by a guild. And there could be whale players who can be the leader of the guilds, and just maybe want to be a collector, or to show off by the status of the virtual world. So yeah, but I think there are maybe two styles of token economy designing, two trends, I would say. So one trend is to improve the liquidity of the token, to add more financial service here. And one trend is to make the token economy more based by the gameplays. I think we are just choosing the second one.
Thanks for all the insight. Mary, you mentioned something interesting. I mean, you mentioned how, like, in the previous Web2 game model, it was a very time-based model, and then it's monetized by maybe ads, for example, whereas in Web3, game companies are monetizing it via item-based business model, and that this, I believe, is the NFTs that the game companies are monetizing. How important is it for game companies in Web3 to kind of use NFTs as a way, the sales of NFTs as a way for the game to be profitable?
Sorry, is it a question for me or?
Yeah, question for you. Yeah, for you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. I think it's a very interesting question. I think it's still it should be based by the different business model or different gameplays. So, for example, if you are designing like an MMO, again, so it's basically a virtual society. So you will see how it's more like the macro economy in the country, how the government is making money. They are not selling the realistic to you directly, but they take the tax. So if you are building up a system like this, I would say the tax is a smarter choice, because you will let different people to earn their own money here, so your economy can be sustainable. So this is one thing. So if you are you are building some other kind of games, like, for example, the MOBA or the PUBG mobile. So maybe you are selling something like the skin or the super rare premium pass or premium membership or something. So it's more like the rights. So people can benefit from what they buy, but still it should be decided by the builder. Yeah, that's just basically my idea.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for that insight. Yeah, I think interesting insights. I think I have a question for Corey specifically as well. This is with regards to, token prices crashing, because for a lot of these games, it has this a limited supply governance tokens, and then we also have a token that has unlimited supply, or a supply that increases at a very fast rate, for example. Usually for game developers, there needs to be an appropriate way for token things to be built in, such that the supply and demand is well balanced. But I think a lot of Web3 games are finding it challenging to sort of put in place token sinks to ensure that supply and demand is well balanced. I'm curious to hear, do we already have a good solution to kind of maintain this so that we don't have crashing token supply, or kind of this is still a problem that does not really have a solution yet? Everyone's trying to figure this out. Corey? I guess we've lost Corey. Okay, open to anyone. Anyone has answer. Brian, do you want to take this one?
Corey says he can hear, but he can't talk.
Okay. That's a problem. Okay, maybe Brian, do you want to take that question? I'm not so sure if you heard what I said specifically on until we figure out how we can get Corey in, but basically, how do we solve this overinflation supply problem for this so that the token price doesn't just crash to zero, for example?
Yeah. Well, I think we saw this kind of inflation issue not just in Web3 games, but we saw it with DeFi as well over the last year. I mean, and even in our real world economy, we're seeing the effects of inflation as well. So certainly, it's an issue that can affect a lot of different types of economies. And I think really it just has to be about, kind of managing the output of tokens and matching those to the consumption of the tokens. And if there's a way more tokens being printed, let's say, than are being used up, there's going to be an inflation of those tokens. So it's just critical to be not overly printing tokens and maintaining enough different variety of gameplay that people are willing to put those tokens back in. So it's a pretty fundamental supply and demand issue. Now, how do you accomplish that through the game design itself is a very challenging question. You have to find different types of gameplay that people are actually motivated to be spending their tokens into, and also taking into account people's motivations, that they oftentimes don't want to spend their tokens because they want to cash them out. So it is not an easy problem to solve.
I'm back.
Thank
Hopefully you
Oh,
can
yeah,
hear me.
great. Yes, we can hear you.
I apologize. Every time I go to Philippines, I get cursed with the best internet possible. Anyway, I appreciate the question. Hopefully, and Brian, thank you for covering that as well. Definitely agree. For sure, I think we're a good use case of what not to do in many cases with our utility tokens. So for sure, everyone can go back and definitely should go back and research what we did right, what we did wrong. I'm sure we did many more things wrong than we did right, but there's still lessons to be had in that. And from our perspective, the way that we look at it is that we launched in a game that was very, very early. Basically, was barely a game. And the reason we wanted to do that was because we wanted to stay small and slowly grow with the community. But unfortunately, that was a bit of a signal for the community to get in early. But then everyone got in early, and yeah, everyone saw what that became. So it was basically like I guess peaking in your alpha, which is the opposite of what we wanted to do. But that's just the reality, and that obviously came with things like us not having the ability to develop the game quick enough because we're a startup studio. You don't have enough staff. All of these things have to be accounted for, and I look back, I would say that obviously in a casual mid-core game that we were attempting to build initially with Pegasus, I don't think that two currencies in general would have worked anyway. And then so that's a hardcore game, of course, that's going to take 1 to 2 years, probably 2 or 3 years to develop to even get to the point where it could comfortably sustain something like that. So there's just many mistakes that were made very, very early on. What do I think now? If I'm honest, I'm not certain on what would work and what wouldn't work. I would definitely be advising single token because one token is difficult enough. 2 tokens is even harder. And when you're developing a game and basically your success depends on your ability to control an economy, and you voluntarily up control on multiple fronts, it's near impossible to manage. That's for sure. But I'm sure there's some people out there who are doing doing it amazingly, and I hope to see a lot more in the future.
Interesting insights, Corey. I'm very glad that you brought a point that having one token is difficult enough, having two tokens is impossible. I always thought it's a very challenging thing to have tokens, and I keep telling a lot of people that, keep your game economics simple. If you can make do with one token, just make do with one, because it's very easy to launch multiple tokens, but very hard to keep them sustainable. So I'm glad to hear that you've done two tokens, learn from them that it's painful, and now you are advocating for other game developers to just go with one token. So yeah, that's an interesting insight. Brian, I've got a question specifically for you. Utility in Web3 games, it's mainly about entertainment as well. Um, how much entertainment value can someone get from the assets that they've acquired from the game? And also, I guess a side question, how do we value entertainment in Web3 games?
Yeah, that's a great question. So if we're looking at how the Web 2 video game industry has kind of exploded over the last few years, we could put a dollar value on entertainment even from video games. I think I read that this year the entire video game market is estimated to be about $200 billion in revenue globally. And that's with people who are playing without really any expectation of utility beyond just entertainment, right? There's no real way to earn from playing, so they're spending this money just to be entertained, and to the tune of about $200 billion. So we can say that theoretically, that's maybe our addressable market size, and we could say that if we could capture 1% of that, that would be a massive win for any particular title. Now, how does a game build that utility? I think it's about, at least one of the strategies that we've adopted that I mentioned before was adding multiple game loops to our game, so that a player can decide where they want to be farming with their unicorn, or they want it to be sent on a crafting mission, or gathering different components to level up the buildings. And we actually released just very recently a new game loop called questing. And these quests are proven to be quite popular. We're seeing that there's a lot of interaction and engagement with them. And in a couple of weeks, we're planning to release a brand new game loop called jousting as well to our game, and to give players new ways of using these same NFTs. And some things that we've also seen other games doing, and we're planning to do this as well, is to be releasing kind of standalone mobile games as well that incorporate these NFTs. So in the next 3 months, we have 3 different mobile games planned, as well as a virtual Tamagotchi type game that will be a standalone game that you can incorporate your unicorns with. And so by creating just these different ways of being able to use the same asset, we're hopefully increasing the value of that asset, from an entertainment perspective.
Thanks for the insights. Yeah, I'm curious to hear from all three of you. What are some of the other challenges that you guys have faced building in the Web3 gaming economy? You guys have mentioned a few throughout this call, throughout this Twitter space. But I'm curious to hear what other challenges that you guys have faced in building in this industry. Corey, you want to go first, and then we go with Brian and Mary.
Sure thing. Challenge is probably more so just not knowing much what to do, or being clouded, smoke and mirrors, really, and created by our temporary success. For sure, the uptrend was very, very steep, and we were able to recognize that likely what is happening now is not as a result of our output, but of market conditions. However, still, when you're at that point, you get a lot of voices and you get a lot of people talking, and giving you advice, unwarranted advice or warranted advice, and you're just not sure what's real and what isn't. So that's probably one of the biggest challenges. Is actually, and probably one of the things I'm most grateful for as well, is that we had to, I guess, decide to just listen to ourselves and go out there and study on real data, and go look at what's been done before, and that all came back to Web2, and I think that's basically what's happening. All of the quote unquote experts that were there very early, I think, are no longer experts. People are recognizing that obviously market conditions were a big factor in a lot of success, and now we've got to go back to the trenches and really be in the trenches, and try the best independent of market conditions. So yeah, biggest lesson would probably be trying to look through the smoke and mirrors of temporary early success.
Yep. I'm in agreement with that. Absolutely. As far as like market conditions and the kind of the macro environment that we were in, last year and this year has certainly changed, has been a challenge for us, and trying to figure out how to navigate that and what strategies that would have worked, in a different kind of environment that will no longer work now. So part of that, is just kind of the general appetite for crypto, right? And kind of non-Web3 native players, how do we onboard these players? There's a lot of friction right now as well, right? Currently, at least for our game, you need to have a wallet like a MetaMask or a Coinbase wallet set up. You need some Matic tokens for gas, and then you need to be able to go to OpenSea or another marketplace and buy the unicorns before you can even start playing. And so all of those steps require so much kind of technical and crypto knowledge that a lot of Web2 gamers just don't have. So there's certainly that amount of friction that is a challenge for us too. And also just in general, one of the big differences from the Web 2 to the Web 3 is the lack of kind of the tech and tooling and infrastructure from third parties, such as analytics and ad networks, the ability to track a player's lifetime value and how much they're spending so that we can better target those type of players, or really to gain an even deeper understanding of how players are performing in our game. A lot of those tools we need to be developing from scratch, whereas on the Web 2 side, they're already built. And so it's quite a bit easier just to kind of get all of that up and running. So I would say those are our main challenges right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Agree. I think first of all, on different stages, we are facing different challenges. So, like back to the years of 2017. So maybe at that time, people are just thinking that what blockchain can be applied to, and then we figure out that finance and games. And after that, in the bull market, I think there were too much noises, and it's too easy for a team to make money by just issuing a token, and also this token can kill the whole project. So besides all this phenomenon, I think the barriers Brian just mentioned is the biggest challenges for the Web2 users right now, and Web2 developers also. So that is why we invested in Incubator Rangers and also Mixed Marble SDK. So first of all, I don't know whether you guys know the project Unipass. It's a DID wallet, and you can basically offer the Web2 users the email logging or social networks logging solution. But the private keys is not custodian by any third party, but it's fragment custodianed by the chain. So it's highly safe, but extremely easy for users to use. And also you can send them an NFT together with a token to save the gas fee. So the users do not need to connect to the wallet or buy the gas fee or even the gas the token of the game anymore. They can just use the fiat wrap, the fiat channels. And also Rangers together with Mixmarble SDK, we are building up, we are calling this the behavior graph. Because just like what Brian just has mentioned, the data in traditional games are so matured right now, and also you can, but still it's isolated by different giant companies. So what Ranger's gonna do, we gonna it's just like what the Google company is doing in their middle platform, so they can share all these different models and also data of the users across different apps or games. So I think the behavior or it's more like SocialFi or DID system. This behavior graph will dramatically help the developers to know their users, and also the whole tool chain will make it easier for the Web2 users to be onboarded to the Web3. So yeah, I think that's the challenge and also the bigger opportunity. Hello.
Sorry. Thank you very much, Mary, Corey, and Brian for the answers to the questions. We're running up towards the hour, and I think before we end the session today, I want to take this opportunity to invite Celeste from the Philippines Web3 Festival to kind of tell us a little bit more about what's happening in Manila next week. And I will be in Manila to attend the Philippines Web3 Festival, and I'm really excited. So Celeste, come on and tell us about it. What's happening next week?
Hey everyone, thank you for listening tonight. My name is Celeste from YGG, and together with Blockchain Space and Emphasis, we are organizing the biggest Philippine blockchain festival, which is Philippine Web3 Festival, on November 14 to 18. They're here actually. My boss is Luis from YGG. Of course, Leia is here. I think Jen, I see her somewhere here. We have a main event which is happening on BGC Taguig on November 14, which is registration. And you know, Web3 Festival, it's all about us trying to introduce Philippines to the metaverse and the metaverse to the Philippines, because you know Philippines is still the epicenter of Web3 gaming. I think it's a really rich market, a market to tap. But it's not just going to be about gaming in Web3. There's also DeFi, centralized exchange, decentralized exchange. We have NFT art. We also have booths. We have so many exhibitors, right? We have and also we actually have a tournament to end it. We have Axie tournament, one of the biggest prize pools in the country, $120,000. Some people will be going home a millionaire that day. We also have this super cool speakers like the ones you've spoken tonight. There's Brian, of course, Mary, we have Corey. We also have Apple the App coming, Nusair from NAS Academy. It's just, you know, we're pulling all the stops here. And while the main event is going, we also have side events happening simultaneously around evening time. You would actually see some of them being hosted at hidden bars. There are mixers, there's women only events. Of course, we have hackathons, investor matching, we have NFT art workshop. We also have something called the Community Builders Night, and even, believe it or not, a road trip to the beach. So I really hope you guys could fly in, come over, enjoy Philippine Web3 Festival with us. It's happening on November 14th to 18th.
Thank you very much, Celeste, and for the explanation of the PH Web3 Festival. I will be in Manila, so I hope to see you guys in Manila as well. Let me know if you guys are coming over to Manila. Would love to meet you guys. And thank you very much, Corey, Mary, and Brian, for the awesome insights, for sharing about Web3 gaming today. We will end our session today, and thank you very much for listening in. And hope to see you guys around in the next Twitter Spaces that CoinGecko is hosting. Have a great evening, guys.
Cheers, Bobby. Bye.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.